"Relax," Monica said, her smile sharp as surgical steel. "You were just a test-run husband. Consider this an upgrade for both of us." The divorce petition sat there between the shrimp cocktails and her firm's glossy brochures. Hartley Associates, strategic consulting for modern business. Her face smiled from every banner in the ballroom. Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I looked at the signature line, then at her. "Understood," I said. She blinked. Just once. She'd expected tears, probably. Begging. Maybe a scene that would let her play the victim. I stood, buttoned my jacket, and walked out of the launch party for the consulting firm I'd funded with $14.5 million of my inheritance money. The same money she'd called our shared vision when she needed it 18 months ago. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My phone buzzed before I reached the parking garage. My financial advisor. "Execute everything," I told him. "Right now." "David, are you certain? The penalties?" "Every dollar, every investment, every line of credit I personally guaranteed. Pull it all." Silence. Then, "It'll take 4 hours to process completely." "Perfect." I drove home through downtown Seattle's rain-slicked streets, watching the city lights blur. Monica had chosen tonight carefully, the launch party. Her moment of glory, maximum humiliation for me, maximum triumph for her. Strategic consulting, that's what she called it. She'd strategized this beautifully. My phone started ringing at 9:47 p.m. Monica. I declined it. It rang again, declined. By 10:15, I had 32 missed calls. By midnight, 336. I sat in my downtown loft, the one I'd bought before we married, the one still solely in my name, and watched the numbers climb. Then someone knocked on my door. Not a polite knock, a hammering that echoed through the exposed brick walls. I looked through the peephole and my chest tightened. Trevor Chase stood there, Monica's lover, though she thought I didn't know. He wore a Tom Ford suit that probably cost $4,000. His perfect hair looked less perfect now, disheveled. His face was flushed. I opened the door. "You total psychopath," he said, pushing past me into the loft. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" "I withdrew my money from my wife's business venture. It's fairly straightforward." "Straightforward? Jesus Christ, David. The contractors alone. We owe $200,000 by Friday. The office lease, the equipment leases, the staff payroll. Monica's guarantor backed out the second your money disappeared. Do you understand what happens now?" I understood perfectly. That was the point. "She served me divorce papers at her own launch party," I said, "in front of investors and clients. I assume you'd know something about her timing, Trevor." His face changed. The anger drained into something harder to read. "I don't know what you think." "You've been sleeping with my wife for 7 months. You meet at the Fairmont on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You use conference room C at her office on Fridays after 6 p.m. when the cleaning crew leaves. Last month, you took her to Vancouver for a weekend and told your fiancée it was a client meeting." Trevor's mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Should I continue?" I asked. "Or do you want to tell me again what you don't know?" He took a step back toward the door. His hand shook slightly. "How long have you known? Long enough. Why do you think I'm not surprised to see you here?" I smiled, and it felt wrong on my face, like a muscle I'd forgotten how to use. "Monica sent you, didn't she? To negotiate? To threaten? To make me see reason? She's desperate, man. She'll lose everything." "Yes," I said. "She will." Trevor stared at me like he'd never seen me before, like the quiet investor husband who nodded at dinner parties had peeled away to reveal something else underneath. "You can't do this," he said. "I already did. Now get out of my home." He left. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood there in the silence, feeling my heart pound. For 7 months, I'd known. 7 months of watching them, of cataloging their carelessness, of planning nothing because I didn't know what to plan. Until tonight, when Monica handed me the papers and called me a test run. My phone buzzed. A text from my financial advisor. "Complete. All assets withdrawn. 14,497 and 382 were 19 transferred to your personal accounts. Hartley and Associates accounts frozen pending resolution of early withdrawal penalties. Good luck." I poured myself a whiskey and looked out at the city. The real question wasn't what I'd done. It was what I'd do next. Monica came herself the next morning. I heard her key in the lock. She still had one, and the door swinging open. She stood in the entrance wearing yesterday's dress, mascara smudged, holding her phone like a weapon. "You need to fix this," she said. "Right now." "Good morning to you, too." Don't you dare joke. David, I have 50 employees, 50 people who depend on my money," I interrupted. "You have 50 employees who depend on my money. Had. Past tense." She stepped inside, and I saw the calculation happening behind her eyes. The same look she got when negotiating with difficult clients. "We can work this out," she said, voice softening. "Last night I handled it badly. The papers, the timing, I was under stress. We can postpone the divorce, restructure the business loan, and... No. David, be reasonable. You'll get your money back plus interest. We'll put it in writing, legally binding." "Monica, stop." She stopped, really looked at me. "You're not going to save this, are you?" she said quietly. "No." "Why? Because I want a divorce? Because I fell in love with someone else? People grow apart. That's life. It doesn't mean you destroy..." "You called me a test-run husband," I said, "at your launch party, in front of everyone. It was a joke." "It wasn't." She pressed her lips together. For a moment, she looked like she might cry. But Monica didn't cry in negotiations. She regrouped. "Fine. You want revenge. I understand. You've had your revenge. The business is over. I'm humiliated. Everyone knows you pulled out. Congratulations. Now can we please..." "I'm just getting started." The words surprised me as much as they surprised her. I hadn't planned to say them. But once they were out, I knew they were true. Monica's face went pale. "What does that mean?" "It means I've spent 7 months watching you betray me. 7 months of you and Trevor thinking I was too stupid to notice. Every Tuesday at the Fairmont, Monica. Every Thursday in your office. Every lie about late client meetings." I stepped closer. "Did you think I was blind? Or did you just not care because I was only a test run?" "Jesus Christ, David." She backed toward the door. "You're scaring me." "Good." She left fast, almost running. I watched from my window as she emerged onto the street below, phone already pressed to her ear, probably calling Trevor. They'd be scrambling now, trying to contain it, trying to figure out what I knew and what I'd do with it. Let them scramble. I spent that day doing something I hadn't done in years. Absolutely nothing. No emails, no calls, no investments to review. I sat in my loft and let the silence fill me up. My phone buzzed constantly. Monica's lawyer, her business partner, my own mother, somehow already informed of the divorce. I ignored them all. At 4:37 p.m., my doorman called up. "Mr. Harding, there's a woman here to see you. Says her name is Claire Chase, Trevor's fiancée." "Send her up," I said. Claire was petite, nervous, wearing scrubs from her shift at the hospital. She had the exhausted look of someone who worked too many hours and trusted the wrong person. "I'm sorry to just show up," she said, hovering in my doorway. "Trevor told me not to, but I need to know if it's true." "If what's true?" "That he's been cheating on me, with your wife." I could have lied, could have protected Monica's secret out of some residual loyalty or basic decency. Instead, I invited Claire inside and told her everything. Every hotel visit, every late-night text, every weekend business trip. I had dates, times, credit card receipts from Trevor's email that he'd been careless enough to leave open on Monica's laptop one evening. Claire sat on my couch and cried silently, professionally, like someone used to crying alone in hospital break rooms. "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. "You deserved better than finding out this way." "How long have you known?" 7 months. "And you didn't tell me?" "I didn't know you, and honestly, I wasn't thinking about anyone but myself." She wiped her eyes and looked at me directly. "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know yet." "Will you hurt him?" The question hung there between us. "Not physically," I said. She nodded slowly, like that answer satisfied something. Then she stood, thanked me, and left. I watched her go and felt something shift in my chest. Not guilt, exactly. More like recognition. There were 4 of us in this now. Me, Monica, Trevor, and Claire. 4 lives intersecting at a point of maximum damage. Monica and Trevor had chosen this. Claire and I had been chosen for. The difference mattered. Trevor showed up at my gym 3 days later. I was finishing a run on the treadmill when I spotted him across the facility, pretending to stretch near the free weights. He kept glancing over, working up courage. I slowed to a walk, let the machine wind down, and waited. He approached carefully, like you'd approach a strange dog. "We need to talk," he said quietly. "No, we don't." "David, please. Just 5 minutes." I looked around the gym. Morning crowd, professionals on their way to work, nobody paying attention. "Fine, not here." We went to the parking garage, down to the bottom level where the concrete walls swallowed sound. My car was parked in the corner, deliberately isolated. Trevor leaned against a support pillar, trying to look casual. He failed. Claire left me, he said. Took the ring, moved out, won't answer my calls. That was you, wasn't it? She came to me. I told her the truth. What she did with it was her choice. You're destroying my life. You destroyed your life. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. He pushed off the pillar, anger flaring. You self-righteous prick. You think you're innocent in all this? Monica left you because you're boring, because you're cold, because she needed someone who actually gave a damn about... I hit him, not hard. Open palm across the face, enough to snap his head sideways and shock him into silence. He stumbled back, hand on his cheek, eyes wide. Touch me, I said quietly, and I'll make sure every client Monica ever had knows exactly what kind of man she's working with. Every investor, every contact. I'll bury both of you so deep you'll be lucky to get jobs at Starbucks. Trevor just stared at me, breathing hard. This isn't you, he finally said. David, this isn't who you are. You don't know who I am. Neither did Monica. That was the problem. I got in my car and drove away, leaving him standing there in the empty garage. My hand tingled. I'd never hit anyone before, never even come close. It felt better than it should have. That night, I did something methodical, clinical even. I opened a notebook and wrote down everything I knew about Monica and Trevor, their routines, their weaknesses, their pressure points, the business contacts who'd invested based on personal relationships, the clients who valued discretion, the carefully constructed image Monica had built around her firm. It wasn't illegal, what I was planning. Nothing dramatic, just information deployed strategically. Monica had taught me that. Strategic consulting, finding the leverage points, and applying pressure until something broke. I started with her biggest client, Whitmore Technologies, a biotech firm run by a conservative Christian CEO who valued family and moral character above almost everything else. Monica had landed the account by bringing me to dinner, by selling us as a team, as stable and trustworthy. I sent him an email. Professional, factual, regretful. Dear Mr. Whitmore, I wanted to inform you personally that Monica and I are divorcing. While this is a private matter, I felt it was important you hear it from me given our previous relationship and Monica's ongoing work with your firm. I wish her success in her future endeavors, both personal and professional. Sincerely, David Harding Short. Clean. Devastating. Whitmore would read between the lines. He'd ask questions. Monica would have to explain why the stable married couple was suddenly broken, why the investor husband had withdrawn his money, why everything was falling apart. She'd scramble for answers that sounded good. I sent similar emails to 3 other key clients. All polite, all professional, all poisonous. Then I waited. Monica called 2 days later, furious. What did you say to Richard Whitmore? Nothing that wasn't true? He's pulling the account. 6 months of work, David. 6 months of research and strategy, and he just... Her voice cracked. Why are you doing this? You called me a test run. I apologized for that. No, you said it was a joke. That's different. This is insane. You're destroying my career over words, over hurt feelings, over betrayal, I said. Over 7 months of lying and cheating and treating me like I was too stupid to notice. Over thinking you could humiliate me publicly and I'd just take it. Silence on the line. I never meant to hurt you, she finally said, and she sounded genuine, almost. Yes, you did. You just didn't expect it to hurt you back. I hung up. My phone rang again immediately. I turned it off. The thing about revenge, I was learning, was that it required patience, not the explosive kind of anger that burned hot and fast. The cold kind, the calculating kind, the kind that looked at a person's life and found all the places it could be dismantled, piece by piece, until nothing remained but wreckage. I was good at patience. I'd had 7 months of practice. 3 weeks after the launch party, Monica's firm closed its doors. The news hit the local business section. Hartley Associates suspends operations amid financial difficulties. They didn't mention me by name, but everyone in Seattle's business community knew who'd pulled the plug. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I felt empty. Monica moved back in with her sister in Bellevue. Trevor lost his job at a venture capital firm when his boss found out about the affair, courtesy of an anonymous tip that may or may not have come from me. They weren't together anymore, according to the social media profiles I definitely wasn't obsessively checking. I learned things during those weeks. Things about myself I didn't particularly like. I learned I could wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about new ways to hurt them. I learned I could smile at strangers while planning someone's professional destruction. I learned that revenge, when properly executed, required the same skills as building wealth: patience, research, strategic timing, and absolute emotional detachment. I was very good at building wealth. My lawyer called one afternoon with an update on the divorce proceedings. Monica's attorney is pushing for spousal support, he said. Given that she's currently unemployed and you have substantial assets, they're requesting $12,000 a month for 3 years. No. David, the court might fight it. Use everything. The affair, the business failure, the fact that she initiated the divorce while having an active extramarital relationship. Make it public if necessary. That could get ugly. It's already ugly. I just want to make sure everyone sees it. He sighed. You're the client. I'll file the opposition brief. 2 days later, Monica showed up at my loft again. This time she looked different, smaller somehow, wearing jeans and an old sweater I remembered from college. No makeup, hair pulled back. Can I come in? She asked. I should have said no. I stepped aside. She walked to the window and looked out at the city the way I'd done so many nights. When she spoke, her voice was quiet. Trevor and I are done, in case you were wondering. I wasn't. He blamed me for everything. Said I ruined his life, his engagement, his job, his reputation, like he was just some innocent victim who got swept up in my evil plan. She laughed bitterly. Men are very good at that, making everything a woman's fault. You cheated, I said. Both of you made that choice. I know. I'm not asking for sympathy, David. I needed to tell you something. Something I should have said months ago. She turned to face me. It wasn't about passion, Trevor and me. It wasn't some grand romance. I wish it had been. That would be easier to understand. Then what was it? It was about replacing you, financially. She said it matter-of-factly, like reading a weather report. You know how much a startup consulting firm needs in capital? How much I'd have to give up if I went to traditional investors. Trevor worked in VC. He had connections, access to money, influence. If I could get him invested, personally invested, in me, in us, then I could leverage that into real funding. I stared at her. You were sleeping with him for networking? I was sleeping with him for my firm, for my career, for everything I worked for. She met my eyes. You gave me $14 million, David. That's not nothing, but it wasn't enough. The firm needed more capital, more connections, more credibility. Trevor could give me all of that. So I seduced him, carefully, methodically. I made him think it was his idea. Jesus Christ, Monica. I know how that sounds. But you have to understand. I've spent my entire life fighting for credibility in rooms full of men who think I got there because of my looks. I built that firm from nothing. Every client, every contract, every success was mine. And I needed more capital to grow, more connections, more than a test-run husband could provide. She flinched at the words. I shouldn't have said that. Not like that, not publicly. But David, you were never going to be enough. Not because of who you are, but because of what I need. I need more than stability, more than quiet support. I need someone who can open doors, who can leverage their network, who can be used, I said. Like you used Trevor, like you used me. Yes. She said it simply, no apology. That's who I am. That's what it takes to succeed in my industry. Strategic relationships, calculated moves, using every advantage. And where did that get you? Unemployed and broke, apparently. She smiled without humor. Turns out I'm not as good at strategy as I thought. Or maybe you're just better. I learned from the best, I said. She walked to the door, then paused with her hand on the handle. The divorce papers. The spousal support request. My lawyer says you're fighting it, that you're going to make the affair public record. That's right. Will it make you feel better, dragging me through the mud publicly? I don't know, I said honestly, but I'm going to find out. She nodded slowly, like she'd expected that answer. I deserve it, she said. I know I deserve it, but David, when this is all over, when you've destroyed everything I built and everyone knows what I did, you're going to look around and realize you're still alone, still angry, still empty. Revenge doesn't fill that hole. It just makes it deeper. She left before I could respond. I stood there in the silence, her words echoing. She was probably right. Revenge wasn't making me whole. If anything, it was hollowing me out, replacing everything soft with something harder and colder. But I couldn't stop. Not yet. The divorce hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday in late April. I arrived 15 minutes early, wearing my best suit. Monica was already there with her attorney, a sharp-looking woman in her 50s who'd built a reputation on winning difficult cases. They'd prepared well. Monica wore a modest dress, minimal jewelry, natural makeup. She looked vulnerable, sympathetic, like someone who'd made a mistake and was paying for it. I almost admired the performance. The hearing took 3 hours. Monica's attorney painted me as vindictive and controlling, using my financial withdrawal as evidence that I'd deliberately sabotaged her business out of spite. They had character witnesses, former colleagues who testified that Monica was dedicated and professional. They had financial records showing the firm's projected revenue before I pulled out. My attorney countered with the timeline of the affair, with evidence of Monica's strategic deception, with testimony from Claire about the lies Trevor had told. Through it all, I watched Monica. She kept her composure beautifully. Only once, when my attorney read text messages between her and Trevor discussing their stupid spouses, did her mask slip. Just for a second. A flash of something raw and real. The judge was a woman in her 60s, gray-haired and stern. She listened to everything without visible emotion. When both sides had finished, she took off her reading glasses and looked directly at Monica. Mrs. Harding, I've presided over approximately 400 divorce cases in my career. I've seen every variation of infidelity, betrayal, and financial manipulation imaginable. But I must say, your case presents a particularly calculated version of marital deception. Monica's attorney started to object. The judge raised a hand. The evidence shows you initiated an extramarital relationship while simultaneously planning to divorce your husband and requesting his continued financial support for a business venture. You then served divorce papers at a public event designed to maximize your professional credibility while simultaneously humiliating him. These are not the actions of someone who deserves spousal support. The gavel came down. Petition for spousal support denied. Divorce granted. Division of assets will follow standard Washington state law for marriages without community property agreements. We're adjourned. Monica's face went white. Outside the courthouse, spring sunshine felt obscene, too bright for what had just happened. Monica caught up with me on the steps. David, wait. I turned. She looked smaller in the daylight, older. The careful makeup couldn't hide the shadows under her eyes. You won, she said. Congratulations. You destroyed everything. My business, my reputation, my financial security. You got exactly what you wanted. Did I? The question seemed to surprise her. What do you mean? I mean, I don't feel like I won. I feel like I'm drowning, and I pulled you under with me, and now we're both at the bottom looking up at the light. She stared at me for a long moment. Then why did you do it? If you knew it wouldn't make you feel better, why destroy everything? Because you called me a test run, I said. Because you made me feel small and stupid and worthless. Because for 7 months I knew you were betraying me, and I did nothing, and that made me hate myself. And then you handed me those papers in front of everyone, and something broke. Not in a dramatic way, quietly, like a foundation cracking. And once it broke, I couldn't stop. I had to see how far it would go, how much I could take from you, how much damage I could do. And now? Now I know I can do a lot of damage. I'm very good at it, apparently. Just like I'm good at building wealth and making investments and being the quiet, supportive husband. I can be anything I need to be. I smiled, and it felt like a stranger's expression. Even a villain. Monica's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what I did. For what I said. For all of it. I'm so sorry, David. I know you are, but it doesn't change anything. I walked away, down the courthouse steps, into the bright spring day. Behind me, I heard her crying. Really crying. The sound followed me for half a block before traffic noise swallowed it. I should have felt something. Guilt. Satisfaction. Closure. Instead, I felt nothing at all. 2 months after the divorce finalized, I received a call from Claire. I'm back in Seattle, she said. Temporarily, settling some accounts. I was wondering if we could meet for coffee. We met at a small cafe in Fremont, away from downtown where I might run into people I knew. Claire looked better, healthier. She'd cut her hair short and wore actual makeup instead of the tired, washed-out face I remembered. Portland's been good, she said, stirring sugar into her latte. New hospital, new apartment, new life. It's amazing how much you can rebuild when you leave everything behind. I'm glad you're doing well. Are you? Doing well, I mean. I'm functional. That's not what I asked. I looked out the window at people walking by. Normal people with normal problems. Grocery bags and strollers and dogs on leashes. Lives that hadn't imploded. I destroyed 2 people's lives, I said. Systematically, deliberately, and I don't regret it. I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel much of anything. Is that doing well? I don't know, Claire said honestly. Trevor called me last month, from San Francisco. He wanted to apologize. Wanted closure, he said. Did you give it to him? No. I told him closure isn't something he gets from me. It's something he has to find in himself. And then I hung up. She smiled slightly. It felt good. Not as good as I thought it would, but good enough. That's more mature than anything I've done. You're not wrong about that. She sipped her coffee. David, can I ask you something, and will you answer honestly? Probably not, but try me. If you could go back, knowing everything you know now, feeling what you feel, would you do it again? The revenge? All of it? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yes, I finally said. I'd do it again, because the alternative was being the victim, the test-run husband who got discarded and humiliated. At least this way, I had control. I had power, even if it turned me into something I don't recognize. Claire nodded slowly. That's what I thought you'd say, and that's why I needed to see you one more time, to remind myself that revenge isn't actually satisfying, that it doesn't heal anything. It just freezes you in the moment of your worst pain. You're stuck there, David. Trevor's stuck. Monica's probably stuck. And I almost got stuck too. But you didn't. No. I chose to leave, to rebuild somewhere else, to become someone new instead of someone bitter. She stood, gathering her purse. I hope you find a way forward eventually. I really do. But I can't watch you drown anymore. It's too close to drowning myself. She hugged me, brief, careful, and left. I sat there for another hour, watching the cafe fill and empty, thinking about what she'd said. Stuck there, frozen. Was that what I'd become? A person defined entirely by one moment of betrayal, unable to move past it? My phone buzzed. An email from my financial advisor with quarterly reports. Another from my lawyer about finalizing property division. Another from my mother asking if I was coming to her birthday dinner next month. Life continuing around me while I stood still. I paid for my coffee and walked out into the summer heat. Seattle was beautiful this time of year. The mountains visible to the east, the Sound shimmering blue to the west, the city alive with music and food trucks and tourists. I'd lived here for 15 years and barely seen it. Too busy building wealth, supporting Monica, planning revenge, stuck. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Monica was still there. So was Trevor. So was Claire. I could delete them, move forward, try to become unstuck. My finger hovered over Monica's name. Then I put the phone away. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Summer turned to fall. I went through the motions of living, managed my investments, had dinners with my mother, went to my gym, walked through the city, but everything felt distant, like I was watching my life through thick glass. Monica got a job at a corporate firm. I heard through mutual acquaintances. Entry-level position, fraction of what she used to make, but employed. She was rebuilding. Trevor apparently moved to Austin, something about cryptocurrency and a new startup, running away to run towards something else. Claire sent me a Christmas card from Portland. No message, just her signature. I kept it on my refrigerator for 3 weeks before throwing it away. The divorce was final. The property division complete. Monica got half of what we'd accumulated during the marriage, which wasn't much, since I'd been careful to keep my inheritance separate. She signed the papers without fighting. Everything was resolved. Everything was done, except I couldn't stop thinking about that moment at the launch party. Her smile, the papers sliding across the table. Test-run husband. 4 words that had detonated my entire life. I started seeing a therapist in January. Dr. Rachel Kim, recommended by my physician when I mentioned having trouble sleeping. Tell me about Monica, she said in our 3rd session. What about her? How do you feel about her now, 8 months after the divorce? I don't know. Try. I sat there in her office, surrounded by plants and soft lighting and tasteful abstract art, and tried to identify what I felt. I think I still love her, I finally said, which makes me either incredibly pathetic or incredibly damaged. Probably both. Why pathetic? Because she betrayed me, used me, called me a test run, and I destroyed her life in response. We hurt each other so badly there's nothing left but wreckage. How can you love someone after that? People are complicated, Dr. Kim said. Love doesn't just evaporate because someone hurts you. Sometimes it coexists with anger, with betrayal, with revenge. That's not pathetic. It's human. I don't feel human. I feel empty. Revenge often leaves people feeling that way. You spend 8 months focused entirely on hurting someone. That kind of sustained anger and calculation requires shutting down other emotions, empathy, compassion, joy. You trained yourself not to feel those things. So how do I feel them again? That's the work we'll do. But I wasn't sure I wanted to do the work. Being empty was easier than feeling everything I'd suppressed. The anger, the hurt, the humiliation, the love that wouldn't die even when it should. I left therapy and walked through downtown Seattle, past the courthouse where the divorce had finalized, past the building where Monica's firm used to be, past the Fairmont Hotel where she'd met Trevor every Tuesday. The geography of my betrayal mapped across the city. At the waterfront, I stopped and looked out at the Sound. A text buzzed on my phone. Monica. I heard you're seeing Dr. Kim. She's good. I saw her too, back when everything fell apart. Just wanted you to know. I'm glad you're getting help. You deserve to be okay. I'm sorry for everything, truly. I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for my sake, for yours. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed a response. I don't know if I can forgive you, but I'm trying to forgive myself for what I did to you. Maybe that's a start. I hit send before I could reconsider. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. I put my phone away and watched the ferries cross the water, carrying people to islands and back, constant motion forward and return, forward and return. Maybe that's what healing was. Not a straight line forward, but a rhythm. Progress and setback, movement and stillness, unstuck. The word felt foreign, impossible. But maybe possible enough to try. 6 months later, on a warm day in early July, I saw Monica at Pike Place Market. Pure coincidence. I was buying flowers from a vendor, trying to do normal things, gentle things, human things Dr. Kim recommended, when I spotted her at a coffee stand 20 yards away. She looked different. Good different. She'd gained back weight she'd lost, her hair was longer, she was laughing at something the barista said. Laughing. When had I last seen her laugh? Our eyes met across the crowd. For a second, I thought she might run, or ignore me, or pretend she hadn't seen me. Instead, she walked over. Hi, she said. Hi. Flowers? Dr. Kim says I should try doing things I find beautiful. Apparently it helps with emotional reconnection or something. Monica smiled slightly. How's that working? I bought flowers. I'm not sure if I feel anything about them yet, but they're pretty, objectively speaking. Progress. We stood there in the market noise, tourists and vendors and buskers creating sound all around us. You look good, I said. Thank you. You look tired. Healing is exhausting, apparently. Yeah, it really is. Another silence, not entirely uncomfortable. David, She stopped, started again. I've written you 100 emails, letters, texts, never sent any of them. I keep trying to find the right words to apologize, to explain, to make you understand. But there aren't right words. Nothing I say will change what happened. No, I agreed, it won't. I destroyed us. I know that. I made selfish, calculated choices, and I hurt you terribly, and you hurt me back, and we both became worse versions of ourselves. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if it can be fixed. It can't, I said. We can't go back. Can't undo any of it. So where does that leave us? I looked at the flowers in my hand. Red peonies. The vendor had said they represented honor and respect in Chinese culture, or maybe shame and bashfulness. The translation was unclear. I think it leaves us here, I said. 2 people who loved each other and destroyed each other and are trying to figure out how to be okay anyway, separately, in our own lives. Monica's eyes filled with tears. I do still love you, she whispered. I know I have no right to. I know it doesn't matter. But I need you to know that. It was never about not loving you. It was about loving my ambition more. I know. Do you love me? Still? The question I'd been avoiding for a year. Yes, I said. And I hate that I do. I hate that after everything, some part of me still wants to protect you. Still wants you to be okay. It makes me feel weak. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Maybe. A busker nearby started playing guitar, some sad folk song about roads and leaving and coming home. I should go, Monica said. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. New client, small project, but it's mine. I'm rebuilding, slowly. Good. I'm glad. She turned to leave, then stopped. David, I forgive you for the revenge, for destroying my firm, for all of it. I forgive you completely, because I understand why you did it, and because holding on to anger just keeps us both stuck. I'm not sure I forgive you yet, I said honestly. I know, but maybe someday? She smiled, sad and real. Take care of yourself." She disappeared into the market crowd. I stood there holding my flowers, feeling something crack open in my chest. Not breaking, opening. Maybe that's what forgiveness was. Not absolution, not forgetting, just opening yourself to the possibility that pain doesn't have to be permanent. I walked home through the city, flowers in hand, feeling something like hope. It wasn't much, but it was enough, for now. I didn't put the flowers in water. They stayed on the kitchen counter all night, wilting slowly, petals curling inward like they were embarrassed to be alive. I watched them while I drank, the city humming outside my windows, every light a reminder that people kept moving whether you healed or not. Monica's forgiveness sat in my chest like a foreign object, unwanted, unnecessary, dangerous. Forgiveness implied balance, closure, an equal ledger. There wasn't one. She had used me. I had dismantled her. We didn't cancel each other out. We changed each other. That was the part no therapist diagrammed correctly. Damage didn't disappear. It just learned how to stand upright and wear clean clothes. I opened my laptop and stared at an email draft I'd written weeks ago and never sent. One message, one attachment, one final lever I'd chosen not to pull. Not because it was illegal, not because it was cruel, because it would end everything permanently. I closed the laptop without sending it. The restraint surprised me more than the revenge ever had. Outside, somewhere below, a car alarm screamed and then went silent. I stood at the window, looking down at my reflection in the glass. Older, sharper, harder to read. Not broken, not healed, just altered. Monica would rebuild. Trevor would reinvent himself. Claire already had. And me? I turned off the lights and let the city reflect back at me. I wasn't stuck anymore. I was standing still by choice. And that felt more dangerous than revenge ever had.